That is all good, buddy. Are we doing audio or are we doing video as well?
I think we're doing audio. I got a bit of a sty on my eye, so my eye is completely swollen at the moment.
Ooh, look at well,
Fun stuff, right? Fun stuff.
mate.
I
As
got a show
someone,
Tuesday though, so it better come down here quick.
oh
Yeah, I'll
no,
tell
it's like getting a
you.
pimple before prom. This is terrible,
Crazy, crazy, crazy.
mate. We're
Always
about
at the perfect time, right? Always at the
oh,
perfect time.
right. Whereabouts are you at the moment, mate?
I'm in Michigan. I'm in the home state, but we're heading. I'm heading out to Oklahoma here for the rehearsals here in a day or two. So it's full speed ahead on this album, and the touring cycle begins.
Yeah. What have we? So, what have the reactions been? I noticed. Before we go on, we should say hi to Blabbermouth. Blabbermouth have been watching our interviews and turning them into articles. And I noticed that they.
Love
That,
Blabbermouth, man. Absolutely. Shout out to Blabbermouth for sure, and excited to get to talk to you, man.
that's it. Um, Now, mate, you first came to Australia in 2019. What impressions did you have of our country? Did anything surprise you?
It was amazing. I mean, it was always like a pipe dream that I get because again, you have to understand Australia, in my opinion, has always been kind of romanticized here growing up in the US, or at least growing up in Michigan, right? Because I mean, obviously all the tourist stuff comes up here and people are usually buried for, half the year in the snow and the cold weather. So, everyone's always dreaming about getting to warm weather and usually it's Florida. But every now and then the advertising you see is always maybe the Sydney Opera House or somewhere something, or whether it's the Croc Hunter growing up or you're watching whatever it was always about animal life or how down under all that stuff was always kind of like around me. So I always wanted to see Sydney. I always wanted to see the Opera House, get to Australia. Obviously, if I had gone on a vacation, I don't think I probably would have flown into Sydney. That would have been it. But of course,
Yeah.
then the opportunity that I remember when we got the call that we're gonna get this Australian opportunity. I mean, the crowd, the band was just through the roof. We were floored, obviously excited, and we're excited because you have to tour bus everywhere in the US, but you get to fly to all those shows in Australia. So it was
Mm.
all handled and taken care of us. It was just such an awesome experience. I remember the first show we were there in Adelaide, and it was late. I remember I don't normally get jet lagged, but interestingly, in the Eastern time zone in the US where I'm at, I think we went on about 10:30. I think it was around, that would mean it was around 8 in the morning our time. So normally around 8 in the morning, just naturally my voice starts to turn off. And here I
Mm.
am having to start the show. So it was just, it was totally different. The jet lag was no joke. It was for real, absolutely exhausting, but it was just so I remember being so overwhelmed that all the people that were there to see us and when we'd never been there before. I mean, I really wasn't expecting anything. I'm like, oh, this will be like starting over again, but the crowds were just so great and they were singing every word to every song. It was just, to this day, always in contact. We always see the Australian fans responding and writing on whatever we drop on the socials. So it's just it was one of those experiences that when you really put the business aside and you take the personal experience, it was one of the greatest experiences of at least from my career. Just doing what we do was awesome, and of course we've been fighting to get back there ever since. So hopefully this album cycle.
I love it. So there's an idea to come back, maybe.
Definitely an idea. I mean, we've been excited to just see the response. I mean, the way our fan base in Australia we can see has been growing, and the way that's been active, it's just is bound to happen. And I know that I speak for the band on this, that we want it to happen sooner than later, and we feel like this album cycle we got a real good shot.
Yeah. The new album. I'm hearing it, and I must admit, there's something about your sound that reminds me a lot of Seven Dust, which was a band that I grew up listening to.
Very cool. Yeah, absolutely love Seven Dust.
Yeah, the just the downtuned riffs and the huge melodies and whatnot. You guys have a very similar skill set of being able to write an absolute banging song intro. Like,
Love that. Love that.
yeah,
We're big fans of Seven Dust. We toured with them many times, LJ and crew. So to be anytime you're referenced with them, it's always a huge honor. So thank you.
and so what remains feels a lot heavier than previous releases. To what extent was this intentional?
Well, we knew. we've always had a metal influence, but kind of growing up in the era when we kind of grew up here and got our record deal, we got our in through rock radio. So the heavier components were harder to get played. There was no streaming playlists at the time. It was just a different kind of era. So you kind of get in where you fit in, and we're blessed to have the success we've had. But we always kept saying next album we're going to get to the heavy side. We're going to dial it in, and then whether it was the producer, band members, things were evolving, and things going on maybe off the stage that we had to get cleaned up. And next thing you know, it's COVID,
Mm.
I know the album before COVID, the self-titled one, you had songs like Waking Lions, but we were trying to find the right producers that could really kind of, I'm having the talks with them before you have that. I really want to push further. And then, for whatever reason, then you got different band members want to do this, want to do that, and the producers wanted, it just, there were things that we needed to kind of search, we needed to find, we needed to explore. It's kind of was an evolution there. As you saw bits kind of come out, then, we found Drew Falk, who helped actually with Waking Lions. And, we did one song together. That was it. And then we had a chance to work with him on the next record. And that was Breathe Again. And, the one after that was Eye of the Storm. So it's like, it was never enough time to really get enough time with guys like him. It was just, I was bouncing around from different producers trying to really find that right fit for Pop Evil. And in doing so, then COVID happens, and then the anxiety, the depression, the anger, that all starts to come back, right? We're the first to be let out, the last to come back. So it just you learn a lot. You get a little humble with the fact that, like, if we get another shot to come back, because it's at one point in time we never knew if we were even going to come back. It was a little bit intimidating to know that, like, here it is, here's your worst nightmare. You're not playing shows, and now are the band going to want to come back? Well, I'm going to want to come back. There's so many questions, and you don't have time as a front man and as a leader of a project, as a leader of my family. Like, you don't have time to really show that depression and that mental illness. You have to just go to the next. Got to pay that bill. You got to go to that next tour. You got to get that next record done. So, I've been harboring this stuff for years. Had no idea. And finally, now with the member changes, Joey and Blake came in, who happened to also be in the band Egypt Central and Devour the Day. And in their band Egypt Central back in 2007, they brought Pop Evil. At that time, we were a no-name band. We were just very new, starting out on our very first tour. And we kind of built our relationship then. So now, fast forward to all the years moving forward, we've all stayed in touch, and we've all kind of go through the same kind of trials and tribulations, which is this career. And finally, when I needed a rhythm section, I was like, look, can you guys come on board for a bit? And they came on board, and it just it's been so refreshing to have a brotherhood with the band now. We've all kind of been through the same thing. We've all, putting our vices in the background and really trying to step toward each other creatively to be like, look, let's really take a shot at, like, giving the attention where it should be in the music. And let's do that by turning our guitars up and really taking all the metal influences that people don't know about us. It's
Mm.
reminding people that, like, it was Pop Evil for a reason, because we didn't like pop. Pop was evil to us. That was the whole thing. So we were almost like rock metal crusaders. And in those early days, it was more the hard rock side that people got to see of us. It's like, well, what about our metal side? I mean, shoot, can we even do it? It's been so long. Let's just roll out. But it's been kind of a progression when you think about Versatile, which was our first released album during COVID, and then Skeletons was our last record. Finally, this record, there was kind of like a no holds barred, like, look, let's roll. Like, who cares? Like, we can't, the stuff that we did back in our past, we already have that stuff. Like, if fans like our old music, well, listen to it. You have it.
Mm.
We have those albums out, right? Like, but how do we push into the future and remind the genre that, number one, we're still here, because there's not many bands left from the time when we came on. And number two, we're not just going to ride off to the sunset and play our hits. Like, we're done. Like, if anything, we're going to forget we have those and really push to create what we feel is the best music still yet to come for Pop Evil. And the start of it needs to be here with what remains. And interestingly so, once we got kind of through this year of making art, it was like, wow, like, we look back and we're like, wow, this is something special that can actually not only help somebody lyrically, but it's definitely the heaviest, darkest themed, like, Pop Evil version. And again, we rebranded with the logos, everything. It's like, it needs to all be fresh. It needs to all be different, because it feels like that part of us has died, and, like, it's come to this now next chapter, which we have to walk through, and we want to walk through it by being uncomfortable, right? We don't want to be comfortable doing things that worked in the past. We want to be uncomfortable by turning it up, take that mix, tuck the vocal, turn the guitars up, like whatever it needs to do. Hey, there's technology now. Let's try it. Like, oh my gosh, that effect is a little bit cool. Okay, let's roll with it. Like, I didn't want to just record my vocal boring and just put some reverb and chorus on it and put it out. That wasn't good enough. Like, let's dissect everything. Make sure a song like Wishful Thinking, the verses, when you think about the voices in your head, sometimes it's that, like, you think about that cartoon we watched when we were all kids. Like, you got that angel on one shoulder, you got the
Yeah.
devil on your other, like whispering in your ear to do or have whatever good or bad thought you have. We all have that, but they're almost like whispers. How do you do that in the verse to really contrast the angry or the aggressive, more traditional pop evil in the vocal in the chorus? And then, of course, when you get that to that guttural scream and the breakdown, how do you make that relatable for someone to understand, like that has been on the fence with people that have been bad in their life? Like,
Mhm.
they might not be bad people, but they've given you false hope, they've lied to you, they've told you white lies because they just want to they want to use you for the now. And now you have all these big plans with them. Oh, I'm going to be together forever with you, this is going to be great, because but then of course everyone is bound to let you down at some point. Well, how do you let that out? Because everyone's different. I mean, for me personally, that's led to a lot of anxiety, a lot of anger built up. And how do you get that to come out in a song that's, number one, relatable, number two, creates therapy for you to get over that and move on? And I thought this album, I'm really coming into my own as a writer, as a lyricist, to be able to express myself, because it hasn't always been that easy. It's been a lot easier for me to write about other people and talk about we, but this album was very important for me to move forward, off the stage, to be better on it. I had to let some of that I out, right? I am what remains. I'm on my death walk. I'm wishful thinking. Like, I had to, like, and I told the band, like, look, this isn't personal. I know we're on the same team here, but like, I got to let this out. And when they kind of came back very supportive, they're like, no, 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 no. We got you. We got you. And I knew they had my back. It just led to just a healthy atmosphere where I could really create and just really push my boundaries to be more uncomfortable, to just let songs like Bullet That Missed Out. I think about all those people, and there's nothing, ironically, that song was done before anything, there's nothing political about it. It's just, when you think about those bullets and those people that told you no in your life, every time you get to a place that creates happiness for you, you have success, those are the bullets that missed. You know what I mean? Those
Mm.
people that told you you couldn't in life, if you were to sum all those up in one bullet, well, that's a bullet that missed. I mean, I'm here now. I'm still doing what I love to do. And whether you like me or not, I've been able to create an opportunity for myself out of it. And there's a lot of people that I think can relate that, because who hasn't had success in life and had someone tell them no or that they couldn't? Everyone has. So just important to kind of let some of that stuff out, take some of the stuff that I buried and I've had in such dark places in my own head or my own soul, and just been put myself in a position to try to be a better version of myself, try to chase perfection. And as competitive as this business is, it's just, I want to be a better version of myself at the end of the day. That's the legacy, right? Like, what legacy you want to leave? The legacy is, I just want to be a better person. I want to be able to put a better version of Pop Evil out. I want to push those boundaries.
Yeah. So I love the fact that I had a bit of a smile there because you said, one of the phrases you used was let the eye out, and you now have a sty on your eye.
Yeah, and it's not. I've had a couple. I've had some. It's interesting you say that, because it's been my third sty probably since June. Like, I'm like, what is going on here? But I'm getting older too, right? So maybe I'm starting to
Yeah.
age up a bit. But when the irony is thick. But you're right. I mean, but when you let go of some of this stuff, it's just been amazing. When this album was released on March 21st, the weight just lifted, man. I mean, I can't really express the kind of release and the bit of fresh energy that felt like come over me since then, and just knowing that you're not alone, and that other people, obviously response has been through the roof. I mean, arguably some of the best response we've ever had with Pop Evil, and we've been blessed to have success, and we've been blessed to have a lot of great feedback on albums, but not quite like this. So, if this is any indication that for the next chapter of Pop Evil, I mean, it's exciting to think about, really, really taking this now and running with it moving forward.
I understand you were quite a passionate basketballer before a knee
Yeah, it
injury
was for
put a stop
sure.
to it. How, first of all, how tall are you? Because I'm 6'7", so I get that question all the time.
A lot shorter. I'm about 5'10". So
Oh
yeah,
wow.
yeah. I was really quick. I was really quick, really good, dribbling, and I was, my shot was really quick, and
Yeah.
that was my first love. And ironically, the music gods had a plan, and I tore my knee up, and that kind of led to me kind of taking the music a little more serious. Because before that, I was just kind of dabbling, and
Mm.
I didn't really care. I was just playing with homies, jamming with homies, and around the Great Lakes here in Michigan, and certainly was talented. And I had a gift for singing. I had a passion for singing, but I was just so focused on basketball. And then since my knee injury, funny you say that. My knee's been giving me a lot of problems. I had surgery, back in, I want to say 96. So it's been a minute since my surgery. Now I think what do you call it? That
Meniscus?
yeah, no, I had an ACL tear,
Yeah, yeah. Mhm.
total reconstruction there with the ACL tear. But my, what do they call that when you don't do your exercises? You get that. Oh my gosh, I can't think of the term now. You get the muscle buildup, the tissue
Yeah.
buildup. That's it. That's been now kind of, it's because now it's turned into golf and pickleball, and you know what I mean, like those kind of sports. And my knee will just throb at, or even sometimes that when the shows get a little bit energetic, my knee. I'll have to, the guys will laugh at me. They'll be like, "What you got your brace on for?" I'm like, man, I got to brace up after this. You know what I mean? We're all trying to. But yeah, basketball was the first love for sure, man, no doubt.
Easy. And lastly, the album cover is amazing. It's possibly
Thank
like
you.
the most 80s metal thing I've ever seen.
Love
What
it.
what inspired it? Like what guidance did you give to the designer?
Yeah, I mean, it's so important. Like when you think at the volcano, man, it's so metaphorical to just where human beings are now. To me, it was so important with the volcano. Like, because you think about it, like you got into, a side note, like we got into music to because we wanted to be around people, right? Like I wanted to be around people and sing with people on stage. People are singing back to you. You're giving energy. People are giving it back to you, right? And now more than ever, it's people dividing each other, right? Like I mean, everything in from the U.S. If you have a Tesla, people are trying to flick you off at least or what. I mean, just silly stuff now to just make us against each other. Where it's just so crazy to me that it was so important with the volcano that to remind people that we're all one life event away from eruption. And it's
Hmm.
so important to think about that and be humble because it's people like you that are helping push the band forward, right? Talking about the band, positive or negative. It's people that are, you just don't know who the person next door or that's going to come into your life that's going to change your life for the better, or sometimes the worst to motivate you to even be better, right? It's like, it's people, man, that really matter. Right. Without it, there's nothing. Right. So again, I just wanted to there's all, even though there's darkness, and there's a lot of dark themes on this record. At true to pop, evil to heart, we definitely share the responsibility to try to do our part to try to remind people that like they're not alone, man. Like they can get through this. You think about when parents, bosses, teachers couldn't be there for us. For me especially, the one thing that was always consistent was the music. It was always there for me, man. It was always there to understand me. I always could like whether it was whether it was Metallica, Pearl Jam, Pantera, it wouldn't matter. All those bands understood me, and I felt closer to myself or to them because of the music, man. And always felt like the responsibility to give a little back and to hopefully write some music that can just change one person's life and give them a little bit of energy to fight that day and be a better version of themselves tomorrow, right? So I mean, I know it sounds cheesy and I know it is, but truly that's the legacy you try to leave, man. Like I mean, despite any massive amount of sales or streams you get, like what do you get, a plaque on the wall? What do you get, a little bit extra in you're not taking any of that stuff. We're not taking any of that stuff with us, right? But when
Mm.
you can help truly give a gift, when you really see what has become now this new era for touring, and you see that like meet and greet era, you see people coming, you can see people's eyes, right? You can see the truth that they're not like that. Like you can see the tears, you can see the hugs, you can feel the hugs, you can hear the energy that they have when your music makes a difference in someone's life. And that's addicting. And to be able to give back in some way, it's the least you can do, right? I'm not going to be a doctor. I'm not going to be a lawyer. I'm not going to be able to help somebody in that way. But to be able to give someone a gift, to come back and see me and go, wow, like, what remains really made a difference in my life. This album really changed me. I mean, that's the goal, right? Like, that's what you're really, that would be the blessing if you ask me, if like, what was your hope out of it? Well, to dig deep and be therapeutic for me with these songs, because all these songs are about me. And for the first time in my career, I was able to, you know, put my own thoughts you know, in the background, and just stay focused on like, look, that this music can help. It doesn't matter about, because in the past I didn't want to write about me. It's not easy sometimes to write about yourself, and to, you know, I came from an era too with social media. You want to make it look real pretty and clean, and everything's perfect for you. But now more than ever, you know, that's not real. That's not the truth. It's about being honest and letting people know that, wow, like, man, if Leigh can go through that, man, that's cool. He can get through. I feel better, man, because I mean, I thought, man, I was always dreaming about me. Some of our favorite rockers, right? They just seem
Mm,
like their life's so perfect. I wish I was in their shoes. I wish I was able
mm.
to do that, right? But I think sometimes when they can see just like the issues that we deal with on a regular basis, they know that, like, hey, you know, I got to work a little bit harder to move forward and be better too, just like you're doing, or just like the next person, right? So just giving back a little bit and trying to, it just really makes it a little bit more worthwhile, and it gives you a little bit extra motivation when you're in the studio and things get tough, to be like, hey man, this is gonna help somebody. I got to dig a little deeper.
So, Lee, this has been rad, man. Thank you very much. I think our slot's up, so I got to go. But thank you very much for your time today. I hope your eye feels better very soon.
Thank you,
And
appreciate it.
no worries, mate. Have a great day.